Hello and welcome to Smart Coach. In today's episode, we are going to talk about Gupta inscriptions. In the last few classes, I have dealt in detail about Gupta Empire, the surname or title that they took, where they came from, the coin that they had issued, the numismatic study. Today, we will do the epigraphic study of Gupta Empire. So, let me write the topic, Gupta inscriptions. And then let me start the discussion. Now, when we talk about Gupta inscription, there are very important inscriptions which are available from Gupta Empire. We have to talk about Mehroli inscription, then we need to talk about Prayag Prashasti, also known as Allahabad inscription. We have Iran inscription, Mathura and Sanchi's inscription. So, there is many inscriptions that were issued during Gupta Empire, and it was issued not only by the emperor but by the local chief as well. So, first of all, let us discuss the importance of these inscriptions, how they help us to study the Gupta era or Gupta Empire. So, when we write about the importance of this inscription, the first thing that we study in these inscriptions are the script, isn't it? Because Gupta inscriptions are written in a specific script. So, it is known as Gupta script. Now, this script actually is associated with Brahmi. Ashoka used Brahmi script in his inscription, and the Gupta script has been developed from this Brahmi script. The only difference that you will see is that the Gupta script is more closer to our script, Devanagari script, that is used to write Hindi. The curves of the alphabets are more defined. So, from this Gupta script, we have many other scripts that came, like Nagari script, then Sharada script, and then Siddha script. From these scripts, we had the modern scripts of India such as Devanagari, Gurmukhi and the Bengali script. In fact, even the Tibetan script has Tibetan script has developed from these script. So, Gupta period, these inscriptions help us to understand the development of script and how the modern script of India were developed. Now, along with this, Gupta period inscription are also important example of artistic and literary work, especially Prayag Prashasti or Allahabad Prashasti as we call it. If you look into Allahabad Prashasti, which is dedicated to Samudragupta, and it is written by Harisena, the court poet. It is a fine example of literary genre of Indian literature called Champu literature. Okay. So, who wrote Prayag Prashasti? It was, let me write the name of the writer, Harisena, and the style that was adopted was the Champu literature style. What is Champu literature? In future also you will read about this literary style. Champu literatures are actually a combination of prose and poetry, and fine classical Sanskrit has been used to write this Prashasti. Prashasti means eulogy. So, we see the growth of literature and literary style in these inscriptions. Third important aspect of these inscription is obviously the art and architecture. Now, if you remember, the Mehroli iron pillar, which is now situated in the Qutub Minar complex of Delhi, is a fine evidence of metallurgy work that was existent in India at that time. The most important aspect of this Mehroli iron pillar is that it is an iron pillar and it has not rusted so far. In that iron pillar with Brahmi Lipi, the whole or or Brahmi or the Gupta script as we call it, the whole content has been inscribed on it, and this pillar is still the way it was almost 1500 years back. It has not rusted so far. So, these pillar along with their designs, the capital on top of the pillar, the polished surface simply shows the kind of architecture and intricate architecture or architectural style that had been adopted by Gupta workers. So, they are fine example of craftsmanship and metallurgy. So, these are fine example of craftsmanship and metallurgy, fine. Now, let us talk about other aspect of these inscription. The next important aspect of this inscription is the amount of information these inscription provide. Okay, they are I am taking a new color just to make it clear for you. This should be fourth. Okay, let me just write it here. Fourth, the fourth point is the amount of information that we get from these Gupta inscriptions. Now, the first information is obviously political information. Now, political information is available in most of these inscriptions where it is told, especially like Allahabad Prashasti, where you get to know which are the places that the king has conquered, when did he ascended the throne, how long was his reign, everything, every aspect of his political reign is described in these inscriptions. Now, we have another important inscription, that is Bhitari inscription. Bhitari inscription is associated with Kumar Gupta. He was son of Chandragupta II. Now, Bhitari inscription for the first time gives us detail of Huna invasion. So, you can see these political details are there in these inscriptions. Then, of course, religious information is also found in these inscriptions. Now, when we talk about religious information, which are the inscriptions that you need to study? First of all, there is Mathura inscription. Mathura inscription, which is probably the first epigraphic evidence of Shaivism. Before that, we had read about Shaivism in text, like Patanjali's book, in Panini's book, and all these texts had talked about Shaivism as a practice and devotion to Lord Shiva. But probably Mathura inscription is the first inscription of Chandragupta II, which says about Shaivas or Shaivite groups, and then their practices and ritual where a teacher is associated with divinity and teacher is worshipped. Okay. So, this is the first evidence of Shaivism. Then Mehroli iron pillar inscription, which is in Delhi now. Earlier, it is said in the inscription, it is said that it was laid or erected in a place called Vishnupada, Vishnupada Giri actually. Now, we do not know which is this place. Vishnupada Giri is a place which was named in Gupta inscriptions, but in modern geography we cannot pinpoint it. However, historians believe that Vishnupada Giri was actually Udayagiri, where Chandragupta II must have retired after descending from the throne and giving it to his son Kumar Gupta. So, in Mehroli iron pillar, it is mentioned that he he is a devotee of Vishnu, and about Vaishnavism we come to know from this inscription. So, it is Vaishnavism. which is propagated in this inscription, and we also know that Guptas were devotee of Lord Vishnu. Then another important pillar is Sanchi inscription. Sanchi inscription speaks about Guptas, donating a few important, giving few important donation to the monastery and giving donation to the Buddhist monk. As such, we understand that during Gupta period, Vaishnavism was flourishing, Shaivism was flourishing, but at the same time these rulers gave patronage to Buddhism also. Then again, Udaygiri hill inscription, Udaygiri cave inscription, in fact it is a cave inscription, let me write it down. Udaygiri cave inscription is very important. Why? Because here we come to know that there were caves associated with Jain monks, there were caves associated with Shaivism also, and somehow it also gives us an idea regarding growth of Shivism. Shaivism is also a monastic sect which is very close to Jainism and Buddhism. If you see, Shiva is a yogi meditating, and meditation was a part of both these religions, Buddhism and Jainism. As such, in Mathura you see that during Gupta period it was not a center of Vaishnavism, it was a center of Buddhism, and we also know from Mathura inscription that it was a center of Shaivism as well. So, these are very important insight that we get from the inscription. So, Udaygiri cave inscription give us insight about the condition of Jainism, the condition of Buddhism, and the condition of Vaishnavism and Shaivism. So, Udaygiri caves are very important when we study inscription of the Guptas. Then there is another inscription about that when we speak, as I told you, political inscription we get from obviously Allahabad pillar inscription, Bhitari inscription, we get social information, social information is so important. Social information from many inscription of Gupta age. And what are these inscription? First important inscription associated with this is Iran inscription. Now, Iran is in Madhya Pradesh, and this was a very important center because coin minting used to take place here. We have important temples associated with Gupta period constructed in this place, but this place is very important for inscription because from here we get not one but three important Sati stone. We get first inscription mentioning Sati in India. Now, the word Sati has not been used in the inscription, but it definitely says that beloved wife of certain chieftain enters the pyre with the dead body of her husband, which shows that Sati practice was there in the upper class or among Kshatriyas during Gupta period itself. So, you know that we get the information regarding Sati. Then one important information that we get is from Junagadh. Now, Junagadh inscription is important from the point of historical study, because Junagadh gives you information regarding not just one dynasty, but it talks about Chandragupta Maurya, it talks about the Saka ruler Rudradaman I, and then it goes on to talk about Skandagupta, the last important Gupta ruler from Gupta empire. About Junagadh inscription, I will be I have already talked a lot in the chapter where I have taught you about the Sakas, but still let me write it down. So, Junagadh inscription. So, you can associate it with the chapter, you can definitely re-study, or you can go back to the chapter where I have talked about Rudradaman 1, and you will get all the information about the Junagarh inscription. So, this was all about the inscription of Gupta period, how they helped us to understand the society, the literature, the art, the political condition of that society better. With this, I will end the chapter. I hope this class was helpful for you. In another class, we will meet with another chapter of ancient Indian history.